The king in this period is, and the way we interact with the king in the darkest hour is very much about his feelings about Churchill in power, and the war, and in particular the bombing campaign, and the effect that has on the relationship between them. So the king is there, but it's very much about Churchill. You hear about great men, and great people and great figures in history. But when you get to sort of look at actually what it was they had to the path that they had to navigate, and how narrow that path is at times, and how easy it would be to just take a slightly easier option. I think that's what is really inspiring about great lives in that way. And they don't come much greater than Churchill. I mean, they really don't, I mean, the history of humanity, he is a towering figure, and he's got he's got an incredibly strong claim on the 20th century. He was a real believer in the positive values of, democracy, really. What was he like day to day? I think he would have been a laugh. I really think he would have. I think he would have been pretty. I mean, boy, he had to get a lot of people to see his way. He must have had some charm. I mean, he must have had some charm, and he got places when he was young quite quickly too. I imagine he would have been. If you caught him at the right moment, I imagine he'd be a bit of fun. I think the relationship between himself and Clemmy too seems to be an incredibly good working relationship, a really profound sort of love, a genuine power couple, and I guess the mode as it was seen of that time of the woman, behind the man and doing a lot of managing of his state and trying to steer things this way or that. It seems to be that Clemmy was able to marshal him quite well at times too. That her influence was of being able to talk completely straight to him. And I think that's an incredibly, from the outside and certainly from the effect of what they did together, it's hard to imagine that he could have done what he did without a person like Clemmy with him. There's a particular dimension, I think, when you're playing people that are actual people, particularly when they've got a connection to right here and now. There's something a little more removed, I think, or different, rather, about playing someone from many hundreds of years past or this or that. But when you're talking about living memory or contemporary, that's a different type of a pressure. I think, look, my take on it is that you're not. I'm not setting out to do an impersonation. I'm setting out to do an interpretation, if you like, of it. But there are certain things which, one wants to get right for that. Gary Oldman is, is really an actor's actor. He really, So you just don't get better than, you don't get better than that caliber. And I imagine that it is. I imagine that he'd be hugely honoured by and fascinated by the chance to play such a figure. I mean, because it's Churchill.